Hi, my name's Caitlin Cook from MQ Agency, and I would like to thank PwC Australia for the opportunity to support its ongoing reputation recovery efforts. Today, I will examine the tax leaks crisis, assess the effectiveness of PwC's crisis communication response, and outline recommendations to strengthen trust and reputation moving forward. In 2023, the Australian Financial Review revealed that former PwC tax partner Peter Collins had shared confidential government tax information with other PwC partners and clients. This information was then used to help multinational clients restructure their affairs and potentially avoid tax measures that Collins had helped design for the Australian government. The crisis quickly evolved from an ethics breach into a major reputational crisis involving allegations of conflicts of interest, governance failures, and sales-driven culture that prioritised revenue over professional obligations. Media scrutiny intensified, including the Australian Financial Review's Inside the Undoing of PwC and the Senate report, PwC, the cover-up worsens the crime. Consequences were significant, worsened by poor communication responses. PwC Australia was banned from government contracts, which accounted for 20% of their annual revenue, and relationships with major clients including Westpac and Macquarie Bank were damaged. According to the situational crisis communication theory, organisational misdeeds are a preventable crisis, and stakeholders attributed a high level of responsibility to PwC. In these circumstances, organisations should adopt rebuilding strategies based on transparency, apology, and corrective action. However, PwC initially adopted defensive strategies. First, PwC attempted to minimise the issue. CEO Tom Sawyer described the misconduct as an isolated incident involving a former partner and suggested that safeguards had already been implemented. Rather than just accepting responsibility and issuing an early apology, PwC distanced itself from the misconduct. This reflects a diminished strategy, which was inconsistent with the best practice recommendations for preventable crises. Second, PwC communicated before fully understanding the extent of the problem. Evidence later showed that the firm had been aware of concerns for years, including warnings from the Australian Tax Office and internal concerns raised as early as 2021. As further information emerged, earlier statements appeared incomplete and misleading. Effective crisis communication requires organisations to communicate quickly, but also accurately and transparently. Third, PwC created the perception of a cover-up. The Senate inquiry concluded that PwC had not provided sufficient accountability and transparency. Media coverage increasingly focused not only on the original misconduct, but also on PwC's handling of it. From a stakeholder theory perspective, this poor communication damaged trust among government, clients, employees, and the broader public. A useful comparison is Volkswagen's 2015 emissions scandal. Like PwC, Volkswagen initially minimised the issue and withheld information. In both cases, the cover-up became a secondary crisis that amplified reputational damage. PwC could have learnt from Volkswagen's experience that early transparency is critical in preventable crises. PwC's later response was considerably stronger. From 2024, the firm had replaced its CEO, appointed independent non-executive directors, strengthened governance processes, and implemented cultural reform initiatives. These actions align with the situational crisis communication theory's rebuilding strategy by demonstrating accountability and corrective action. These reforms contributed to improved stakeholder confidence, with the Australian government later lifting PwC's exclusion from government contracting after accepting assurances that governance, culture, and accountability standards had improved. However, crisis communication theory suggests that prevention is ultimately more important than recovery. Hagen's 2006 article highlights the importance of vulnerability assessments, where organisations proactively identify governance, cultural, and operational risks before they become crises. Had PwC more effectively assessed its governance structures, incentive systems, and confidentiality controls, measures could have been taken to prevent such reputational damage. Ultimately, the PwC scandal demonstrates that effective crisis management begins long before the crisis becomes public. Transparency, accountability, and proactive risk management are essential when responding to crises, but also for preventing them from occurring in the first place. On behalf of the MQ Agency, thank you for the opportunity to discuss crisis management strategies with PwC. I'll email the team notes on what was mentioned today, and please feel free to contact me if you have any questions.